Hi, everyone. Welcome to Dear Baddies, Boyfriends, Bitches, Dating, and Everything in Between. We've got a super special guest with us. His name is Keyen Lage.
That's it.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're super excited to have you. If you could, Keyen, if you want to just give us like a little background on you and why we should talk to you.
Yeah, definitely. I am a former NFL athlete. I had the opportunity to play football at the highest level. I ended up having a neck injury to where I could never play again. After that, I wanted nothing to do with my college degree, which was a finance major. Instead, I dove headfirst into personal training. I moved out from where I'm from, this small state called South Dakota. Moved to Miami and started at Equinox and established quite the presence there, and eventually created a program for people with autoimmune conditions and digestive disorders that I scaled online, quitted Equinox, moved to Colombia, and dated. I ended up having a girlfriend from Colombia. And then from there, I met a lot of entrepreneurs that were dealing with mental emotional instability that I could help them with. And that was about 3.5 years ago. So from then on, I've worked with different types of people. I've worked with tons of different types of high-performing women, high-performing men, on helping them work through whatever they're dealing with. And also, in the meantime, traveled the world and dated all over the world. So I have quite a perspective in that, and I'm looking forward to dive deeper into some of that today.
Thank you so much. So you just mentioned dating all over the world. What's your favorite country to date in?
Brazil.
Why is that?
For sure. Brazil. There's this openness and this warmth to the culture and the people there. There's not a lot of games. People are really just like open in regard to their interest. And it's just such a warm, inviting culture. I first moved to Brazil after a breakup back in the end of 2020. And it was incredibly healing for me to get back into the dating world there, because it was so light and so fun and so playful. It wasn't very heavy. It wasn't like, how do we figure out what the future is? We're just here right now enjoying it. And I suppose it depends on what you're really looking for at the time. I think at the time, that's what I was desiring. But as far as the lightness, where there's it's fun, it's playful, it's passionate, and I really, really enjoy it for that reason. But long-term partner is different.
Yeah. I know you said you lived in Colombia. So how is dating in Colombia? Just curious.
Dating in Colombia, I actually met my girlfriend like 3 weeks into being there. I moved there November of 2018. I met her like the beginning of December of that year. So I didn't date a whole lot besides her in the beginning. And then towards the end of it, I dated quite a bit. But the culture is very passionate. Right, it's a lot of passion that can come with a lot of love, but also a little bit of wild, crazy too, which tends to happen when you get that mix of passion. But also very feminine in the essence of the women there. Very, they have more of a submissive essence to them, where they seem to trust that the man can do a good job in that dynamic. And it's much more, it's similar to Brazil in that it can be more light and not as, how do we fight for the masculine role in this dynamic?
I know Cindy, she just got back from Iceland. So I know you were interested, Cindy, in dating outside of the United States. And I am a huge 90 Day Fiancé fan and just see the drama with that bullshit. And I'm so intrigued. Like, it's so full of drama. I love it. But like, I can't imagine like having to date someone overseas and then bring them back with the fiancé visa. But Cindy, going back to you, like you met someone in Iceland, right? Or how did that go? How did that come about?
So I'm back on dating apps again. I'm still in dating apps, and I met this guy, and he's from the United States. And I'm like, okay, so where are you in Iceland? And he's like, well, he started with the accent and all that. He started acting really silly. And he's like, look, I'm in Michigan. I'm like, what the heck are you doing in Iceland? Why the heck are you putting yourself in Iceland?
He just
So
changed his
then,
location, I guess.
yes, he did. And then he's like, I'm done with the American culture. The American dating is annoying. And I'm like, wow. And then he was not the only one. There was another guy. He's in Kuwait. And I'm like, dude, you're not even in Kuwait. And you're basically putting yourself in Iceland. He's like, I'm annoyed with the American dating. And then I was like, you know what? Let me talk to, and I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher your name. Keyen. And I'm like, Keyen just had posted like about like the masculine side on the podcast. And I'm like, okay, I need to talk to him. That's when I reached out to him. So it's all about like, wow, I cannot believe that men are actually looking for women outside the United States because they are tired of the American dating.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we live in a demasculinizing culture where the men are becoming more feminine in their essence and the women are becoming a little more masculine in their essence. And it's throwing off the polarity dynamic. And I think instead of fixing the central issue, people are deciding to exit the game and go elsewhere. I'd love to dive deeper into it if you'd like to.
Yes, please. Because it's very difficult. I mean, it's very difficult on these dating apps to even hold a conversation with anyone, let alone go on a date with them. So I'm super interested to hear your perspective on that.
And I'm super curious because, go ahead. So
I was going to say there's a couple different routes we can go with that.
Definitely, because my thing is, okay, so as me, I talk a lot, by the way, and I send a lot of videos, and this is like, I've had like conversations with multiple guys, and they're like, mine is the best profile that they have seen. I talk a lot, and they like that versus 1 or 2 words that women are sending. So why is that the feminine, like on this side of things, people are not replying, like women are complaining about, oh, he's not talking to me. I cannot find good men on dating apps. But then now you see that men are responding as, oh, I'm just receiving 1 or 2 words, but they're not actually having a conversation with me. So tell me about that. Let's dig deeper on that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes perfect sense. I think when girls try to act like they have it all together, it just throws things off. And I think the demonstration of trying to act like you do with being very controlling and mental in how you're responding instead of just allowing yourself to be free and flowy and a little uncalibrated, it's really the opposite of what the masculine represents. And a man doesn't want to date another man, right? So to bring out the masculine in a man, you have to allow yourself to step into more of an uncalibrated, maybe a more of an unconscious operating system that allows for him to feel more masculine. And contrary to what a lot of women believe, they think they have to act as confident or be as confident as the man they're talking to, but that's actually foolish. And it's a great way to turn a man into someone that's not attracted to you.
But I'm curious to know, why are women doing this? Why are they acting that way? Okay, yes, I mean, I can be a little bit controlling, or probably they're thinking about what they might say. In other words, I really don't give a shit. I'm like, if you like me, fine. If you don't, keep on scrolling, keep on just talking.
Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm talking about, right? I think that's great. I think it's incredible. What's your question in regard to that?
I mean, it's just like, why? I mean, it's just like, I think people are just more to like social media intel about like, oh, let me see what they're going to say about me, or let me watch, or let me not be authentic. And that's where people are failing, because they're not letting their authenticity, and they're saying, oh, wait, I need to put a mask on so that he can like me. Or yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think for masculine men, there's a level of, which I would assume the majority of women want. Most women don't want feminine men that are showing up in the world now. They're like showing up excessively spiritual and can't hold a job and are all over the place with their emotions, right? Not a lot of women really actually desire that. But for a man that's not that way and is very masculine, there's a certain level of love that I don't believe we're capable of giving ourselves, that we need to be able to feel from our partner. And when there's this space that's created with an absence of being calculated, where you're just tuned into your heart and what you're feeling, that creates a safe space for a masculine man that's always in his head computing things and making sure things go the right way for the people that he loves and cares about, and creating safety for everyone that he knows, allows him to let his guard down. And when a woman is in an excessively masculine place for a masculine man, I don't think he feels safe to let go, because she's not. And so that throws off the dynamic a little bit. So I know it's probably something new, but I'd love to expand more on that if you'd like me to.
So my thing with that is, are women not being cautious of men's like feelings or what they think or how they feel? And they're like just putting it off, like, you're a man, why don't you just put up with that, you know? But now men are becoming more sensitive on saying, hey, this is how I feel. Let's have a conversation to have a healthier relationship.
Yeah, you know, I don't believe we're in a relationship dynamic. We're inherently equal in value, but as far as who's expressing the most emotions, I don't believe it should be balanced. I believe it's the job of a man to be able to create the space for a woman to be incredibly emotionally unstable, so she can find stability in that. But contrary to what the mainstream media is talking about with this like equal emotional expression with men and women towards each other, I think that throws off the polarity dynamic. And actually, I think for men, becoming more emotionally intelligent is not meant to make us more emotional so we can constantly be sharing how we feel, but to make us actually more emotionally stable so our emotions are no longer controlling us. So my idea surrounding a lot of the emotional work that is more popular now more than ever for men is not to make men more emotional. It's to make men more aligned with what they're really experiencing, so they're capable of showing up in a more powerful way. And now I'm not saying men can't say what they're feeling in a moment when it's relevant to the situation. That's up to him to exercise that discernment. But I don't believe that men and women equally sharing emotions is correct in a relationship dynamic.
I would agree with that. And Cindy, I don't know about you, but like, I know that I can do everything on my own, but it is really nice to have a boyfriend at home that can take out the trash, do the man things. Like he and I so my boyfriend and I, we've been together for about, I guess, 10 months now. And I told him in the beginning, I was like, this is how I am. Like, I don't need you. I want you. I want you in my life. I want you to be a big part of my life. He's my best friend. I love being around him. But I'm like, as much of a feminist as I feel like I am, I really want you to do the man things, you know, like I want you to do the trash. I want you to fix or mow the yard, or, you know, fix the gutters, whatever. But I think you're right. I think it's, when I was dating, like it was very hard to pick out the feminine ones that, you know, over the ones that actually have like true masculinity. You just never know who you're going to meet up with. It's frustrating for sure, because you think that you're going to go out with one type of person and you show up and it's the complete opposite almost.
I can agree.
Yeah,
with
you know, that's dating.
I mean,
right?
I can
like, let me just respond real quick. Like mm-hmm. That's dating, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
And that's the part about it is, like anything that's really special in life, whether that's doing your dream job or finding a best friend that you feel super stoked about, or finding a long-term partner, it comes with time and energy expended. Mm-hmm. So in the dating world, I can't tell you how many dates that I've been on, and getting a little annoyed, but continually staying in it and just keep going on more until there is that click. You can become more and more refined with what you want and desire. So when that thing does pop up, you'll know. Yeah. So yeah, it might be kind of annoying, but like, you know, it just sounds like the typical like American thing of, oh, why can't I have it right now? But it's just like, it's something really fucking important. Your life partner is like the biggest decision you'll ever make.
It's
right?
kind of a big deal.
Of course it's going to be, it's kind of a big deal, right? So of course it's going to be drawn out. Of course there's going to be time and energy and effort spent. Of course you're not going to get it right the first time. But that's the nature of the game.
Yeah, it's all trial and error. Like I look at it kind of like an interview, like you go on these interviews and you learn a little bit more about what you like and what you don't like. And then finally with the person that you end up with, you have everything, hopefully everything that you want. I know with mine, like he and I feel like we complement each other. We're not like perfect, like a perfect match, but we're a perfect match, I guess, together. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm curious to know if you have a worst first date story.
Okay. I'll be right there with you guys. Okay. No pegging was done. But,
darn it! I'm just kidding.
It was a hinge day. I was a hinge day with this girl, and we went on this date, and we had a drink, and then we decided to we were having a great conversation. Things were flowing. We decided to go back to my place, and she wanted to keep drinking. But for me, when I'm getting to know somebody, I don't want to keep drinking. Like one drink is fine, but like to me, it throws off the dynamic of me actually getting to know them. And the place I'm in my life, it's like I'm not just trying to have fun with every person I meet. Like I want to make sure you're really worthy of having fun with in a sense, right? I don't want to just jump into that. So I told her, I'm like, hey, like, no, I don't want to drink more, right? Like if you want some water, like that's fine, but I don't think we should drink more. And she's like, are you telling me I can't have another drink of alcohol? I'm like, yeah, I kind of just want to get to know you more without the alcohol. She's like, well, that's really triggering to me. It's like my ex-boyfriend, he would never let me drink. And I was like,
oh no.
Okay.
Oh no.
All right. Well, I really just want to get to know you more. And that's why. And she's like, no, I just don't know why you can't just give me a glass. I'm like, all right, fine. You want to lead? I'll get you a glass. And so I went and got her a glass. We went and got, I'm like, all right, it's in your hands. That's fine. Whatever you do on this point on, you will be criticized for, but we'll see what happens. And so we ordered some food. I went out to get the food, and then she had poured another glass by the time I came back, and she had her pants off, and I was like, okay. And
oh my god.
Yeah, she's like, then she starts like talking cute, and she's kind of slurring her words. I'm like, okay, now I'm just completely turned off because this is not what I wanted out of the interaction. And from there, I was like, hey, I think it's time for you to go. And she's like, yeah, I think it is time for me to go. Like act like it was kind of like her like decision for her to go, Yeah. And so then I put her in the car, started to drive her home, and then she's like, why did you do that? And I was like, well, honestly, this is what happened. I just kind of like laid it down, and she started crying, and she's like, I'm so sorry. I'm not ready to be dating yet. I'm still working through stuff with in regard to my ex-boyfriend, and drove her home. We gave her a hug, and then obviously never talked to her again. But that was a pretty wild experience.
Traumatic.
Yeah.
Oh
so
my gosh.
I'm curious. Okay, so you said you've been single for 2 years, and in the next few days, you're no longer single. So how long have you been dating or seeing your future girlfriend? Like, how long did it take you to be like,
one date.
One date?
Wow.
Like I feel like I'm so dialed in. Yeah. I'm so dialed in. I've been on a ton of first dates.
Okay, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So one date, that's it?
Yeah. Then I went on. It was like I could feel it before that date. It was really odd, but it was almost like everything that happened during that date was like any questions that I asked, I almost like assumed the answer, and it always was the answer that was best from what I would want and desire. It was a feeling. My mom always talks about this. Keyen, it's going to be a feeling. You're just gonna know. I'm like, Mom, no, it's supposed to be the checklist. It's supposed to be it's supposed to be this thing and that thing. I'm like, Mom, it's more mental than that. She's like, Keyen, I know you. This is what's gonna be. And after I've probably been on, I don't know, 40 to 50 dates, first dates since being single, and it was definitely that.
Wow, that's amazing.
But there definitely are some things that I could say that are more mental for what really like solidified it for me.
What are those?
Well, I think there's a certain value set that I have that is really important for my partner to have. And one of them is, because was looking for a long-term partner, was if she's not stoked about saying she wants to be a mom, that's an automatic no. Automatic no. Like, being a dad is one of the biggest things I'm like so excited about in my life. I'm not willing to rush it, but I can't wait to be a dad. And so that was one of the big ones. Like some really career oriented women are like, maybe in the future, and that's an absolute no. I want my wife to be stoked about being a mom, and she can be doing her thing right now, but she wants to be a mom. She's excited about it. She talks about wanting to have a lot of kids. I want to have a lot of kids. So that's a big one. Also, stance on, and maybe I'll share my opinion, maybe I won't, but stance on COVID is actually a really big deal to me, along with being a vegan or not. It's kind of important to me, and as well as where you lean on the political spectrum as well. It has some element, because I can know a lot. I learn a lot about a person more from that, but those are pretty big deals to me. Also, for me, I can move around. Okay.
I said, yeah, right. Fair,
so
yeah,
I
especially
also,
being.
Okay.
Yeah, vegan. I mean, that's very important.
For me, I'm not vegan, and if anybody is like hardcore believing that veganism is like the way, the truth, and the light, like that's just like, it's wrong. It's just not even true. I mean,
so if they're a vegan, they'll
I used to do this stuff. Right, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It comes with a certain essence to it that I'm not attracted to. I'm from South Dakota. We love our beef and we love our potatoes. So I need someone that loves that too.
Potatoes and meat.
Yeah, that's it. Another big one is I'm location independent. And so having someone that's also location independent is really important. I want to be traveling this next year, and I want someone that can travel with me. So I think that's really important. So she can, with her job, do that. And also, I think I'm really well known in communities, but I'm not a big social media person. And so she's a big social media influencer. So I think we complement each other a lot in what we both want in regard to being more in the public eye and putting ourselves out there. So that also was like something that was really aligned. But really, it's a lot of values. Like I know people say not to really like grill people on dates with questions, but when you know what you want, it's like, I know I can have fun with anybody. Like, I know I can have, maybe not really good sex with everybody, but I know for me, like, having good sex isn't really that hard, So because of that, I like to more ask questions and figure things out so we don't have to go on a second date. But also, she's really, you could tell there was this level of innocence to her too, that there was like this childlike innocence where she was not super sexually active, and she just maintained this like really cuteness. I'm not saying women that are super sexually active can't, but that there's this innocence to her that I just really like was drawn to as well. She was really stern, and like she'd been on like 4 dates in the last 2 years, and I've been on like, like I said, 40, 50 or 60. She's like, I just feel it, and I just know. And so she didn't, she was so, she just knew what she wanted. And that was pretty cool too, to hear. So I can keep rambling, but
no, you're fine. I love hearing stories like that. Like, I'm so excited for you. I know it's like you said what, 2 days away from, I guess, it being like official. Like, that's so, I love that feeling so much. It makes my heart happy. So. And
that is so important.
It is. I didn't have the same experience with mine because I'm divorced and I've been burned in the past. So my boyfriend now, I thought when he came along, I was like, fuck you. You're just another fuck boy. I don't think so. You're trying to get in my pants. Fuck off. So this motherfucker, he's good. He's really good. He tried for about 3 months, like asking me to go on dates. just he was very persistent, consistent. He did all the right things. And I'm like, no, never going to happen. Never going to happen. Finally, I was like, you know what? I'll go with you to your Christmas party. Like, I'll allow it to be a date. And I shouldn't have been that bitchy about I shouldn't have been that bitchy, but I just needed to vet him to make sure that I wasn't going to end up with another fuck boy and I wasn't going to have my heart broken. But there was always something about him, like in those first 3 months, that I was like, I can't let this one go. And I guess if he had said, fuck off, like I tried already, I'm not going to continue, I would have been heartbroken. But I didn't do that. He's wonderful. But so now we just need to
persistence. That persistence.
Yeah.
That's it. That persistence with guys is really powerful. I met her on a dating app as well, not as well, but we met on a dating app, and I tried a lot in the beginning, and she gave me a little bit, and then completely ghosted me. And then it wasn't until we go to the same gym, and I didn't even know. That's the craziest part. So then she messaged me one day, and she's like, "Hey, do you go to the Equinox over in West Hollywood?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how'd you know that?" And so she saw me, so that was like I think maybe like a credibility thing or something that really got her to open up and finally go on a date with me. So that persistence as a man is really powerful.
It really is. Yeah. I know we need to get Cindy on the boyfriend bandwagon. We're trying. I'm kidding.
So I've been divorced. I've been divorced twice, and I've been single for almost over 2 years now. And it's just like now I'm finally like dating little by little, getting to know people and networking a lot. There's this guy that I'm actually going to meet in Vegas next week on Monday. So he's like, and what I like about this guy, it's funny because last year we started talking. Okay, so I add a lot of cute guys to my Facebook, okay? So for business, let's put it this way. So, and he also does a podcast, and I added him last year because of the podcast and all that. I have a different podcast as well. And he was in a relationship last year, but we talked about, it was most strictly podcast. And he told me a little bit about his situationship. I'm like, okay, so what's going on? Happens to be, I'm like, something popped up on his Facebook. I'm like, hey, how you doing? He's like, are you single? That's what he's like, yeah, I'm single. Finally, about time. And so it happens to be that I told him, hey, you know what? I'm going to be on your side of the world this time next week. He's like, what are you coming to Vegas for? Because I'm like, well, I have to go to this convention for work. And he's like, oh, okay. And he's like, I'm with the same company too. I'm like, what? You are? Because he reactivated his real estate license. And like, awesome. So we're actually finally meeting. And he's like, what I actually liked about this guy, he's like, don't make any changes or anything. I will come to you. And I'm like, okay, I like that. Taking charge.
I do like the taking charge. I have a question for you though, for Keyen. So, and this is, I feel like your answer is going to clear up a lot of bullshit that we hear. So I always liked it when guys would approach me and just say, hey, I want to take you on a date. That tells me their intentions, right? But if somebody, just for our audience, like if somebody's saying, let's go hang out, that's not a date, right?
Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah.
And here's the thing though, it's like, if you like the guy and you want to give him like another chance with it, something you can do is say, what does that mean?
Cindy did well. I guess a couple weeks ago, there was a guy that asked her to hang out, and she asked what she should wear. Like, is it a date? Or are we just hanging out? So I love that you did that, Cindy, because I feel like that kind of.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, puts a little pressure on his stupid little answer that he gives.
Yeah.
It's so vague. Yeah, it's stupid. It's just like indirect and vague, and it's not very committal. So I think the interesting part is, becoming more precise as guys, and I don't think a lot of guys know that you're supposed to do that or you should do that, is really powerful. You know, for example, with this girl that I'm seeing, I'm just doing all this weird cute shit that I haven't done in a long time. That's like, I know all the stuff to do, but I haven't really found a girl to want to do a lot of it with. So I've just been not wanting to, but she's got a pretty, she's got a lot in her schedule, and I told her to give me her email, and I put date night in the calendar, and didn't tell her the place, but I told her the time to be ready and what to wear in the notes of the calendar invite, and just sent it over to her. She loved it. It's great because we both get in our calendars too, and she loves that. So I like to do little stuff like that. She said something that she really liked about me is I open the door, like I open their car door. I'll open the door to the restaurant. Like, I think that's really important stuff to do, and it definitely sets you apart as a man. But you can do it in a non what do they call it? Simp way. Right? Like doing those things isn't inherently make you a simp. It's your emotional instability and trying to overplease in your essence. You get something that you can feel as girls. There's like this franticness that you can feel from a guy that's simping. So I want to clear that up too. It's like those actions aren't inherently simping. It's kind of the essence that you hold, I believe.
I love that stuff. I love the doors.
Me too.
Opening the doors, like pulling my chair out. Like it doesn't seem like much, but it just makes you feel like they actually have a little bit of respect for you,
But at the same time, it feels like they take care of you. They're like taking care, and like that. I like that. My ex-boyfriend didn't do that, but my ex-husband, he did, and he still does. Oh yeah. I mean, whenever I see him, he still opens the door. He still closes the door. But yeah.
Did you know that you were capable of doing those cutesy little things, or it wasn't until you met her and you were comfortable with her that you wanted to do those things?
Oh, I've always been capable. When I get into love, I'm like really, I love to provide and take care of. It's like love is in my, I would say in my essence. My family growing up is always saying I love you, always giving hugs, and always my dad always doing cute little stuff. My mom, they're the happiest couple I've ever seen and continue to be. But for me, my biggest struggle was like creating really deep intimacy is something that's actually very easy for me. And I think that is difficult for many people, but for me, it's really easy. So what I found is I can get intimate quick, and that can actually haze my judgment of, is this someone I really want to be with or not? And that was, I think, a pattern that I had, not going all the way in and dating, but spending more time with certain women that I probably shouldn't have because I got a little too intimate too quick and that connection formed. So my biggest thing has been actually removing myself from doing a lot of those cutesy things so I can continue to maintain a clear perspective if this person's really someone I want to do that with. But when the walls come down and I'm like, okay, and I make the decision, it's full on for sure.
Who do you think should pay on the first date?
The guy for sure.
But
We've had different answers for each, I think, because I've heard some guys say the man should always pay, and then I've heard other guys say, oh, well, it should be, whoever asked the other person. In my opinion, I think
that's stupid.
The guy should pay, but out of respect,
Absolutely.
Of course I can pay for myself, but I think it's like a respect thing almost.
I like to pay for myself.
Yeah, well, it's just like it's just being a man. Like, it's like I don't like to feel not like a man, and I feel like a man when I'm providing. And I think what a lot of men don't realize is that they're compromising feeling like a man for safety. And maybe I don't have to pay this $40 for this meal. That'll save my wallet. Instead of allowing themselves to be like, whoa, I feel like a man, like I'm fucking providing. That feels good. And that's where a lot of men are very disconnected from that. It's because they don't know how good it feels to actually provide and what that does for your essence and what that does to your drive, what that does for your abundance. So I think that's the biggest thing is a lot of men are in a place of like safety and trying to just like not be in a tough position. But I think real men actually like the responsibility and feel better as men in that position where they are providing in that way.
So when would you start to like split the bill, I guess?
I wouldn't, but that also might be, I don't know other guys' financial positions. But then again, I don't know. It's all relative as well. But I personally, in this place that I'm in, I wouldn't. If I'm out to eat with a girl, I always would pay. Now, this girl, she's a little sneaky little girl. I took her out and to get acais, and then she snuck in front of me real quick because I paid for the first date. She like quickly threw it in the thing and paid. She's like, I wanted to do it. And I'm like, that's cute. I have no problem with that. Like that's a really cute gesture. Like, thank you. Right? Like, I think it's really cute. But I'm like, hey, let this be known. If you want to ever pay, you're going to have to make sure you grab the bill before I do. But I'm pretty good with the hands. So I told her I'm always going to be the one that does that. But if you feel like you really want to, take it before I do. So that's how I look at it and go about it. I like to feel like the provider in that space. And I like when a girl is in her feminine, and I'm not saying her paying takes her out of that, but actually it might actually take her out of it a little bit, to be honest with you.
I love when my boyfriend pays, but I know that like it gets expensive for him. So I feel terrible, if he pays for everything. But so now I kind of do the same thing. I kind of like sneak my card in there sometimes.
Yeah, see, that's amazing. That's why, like, as a girl, I would if a girl's like, I pay on a date and she's in this place of like, oh, I expected that, I won't talk to her again.
Yeah, I think that's rude.
Right. So there's an element of respect that I give to a woman when she's like, hey, do you want to split? And I think that's a good test for a man too, right? For a girl to say that, it's like, ask him that, like, oh, like, do you want to split? And if he says, oh yeah, let's do it, then you learn a little bit about him,
No,
I'm not saying he's a terrible.
Do you know just off the top of your head, like percentage wise, what percentage of girls would offer to, I guess, go Dutch or split the bill on the first date?
In my experience, well, I don't really know how much they've been testing compared to asking, because they really genuinely want to ask.
True.
Right? I don't know the breakdown, but I would probably say 90% of my dates have been good in that.
Oh, that's great.
Been like, yeah, I don't know if I just don't really attract the other like ungrateful type. I think I'm a pretty grateful person, so probably
it's a good position to be in.
Yeah, but now whether they actually want to pay or not, I don't know. But as far as at least offering,
the reason why
chunk of majority.
I asked a group of guys. I used to be on a bowling league a couple years ago before COVID. So it's mainly men. It's based out of like the company that I work for, but just a little one-off fun little thing. But there's, I guess, maybe a group of 10 guys. And I was curious to know, I asked them the same question, and all of them, I don't know if it's because we live in the South or what, but all of them said that they've never had a girl offer to pay half on the first date.
What?
I thought that I was
really
flabbergasted.
But I also live in Los Angeles though too.
True.
Like I also live in Los Angeles, which is very much like a very like independent woman, more of a men are more feminine here, which also helps me a lot.
Yeah. We've
because a lot of them are looking for strong masculine men.
We've got some feminine ones here for sure.
I've always offered to pay on, in any type of date, like it doesn't like, I'm just like it, but keep in mind, I've been single and I'm a single full-time mom too, that I'm always used to like taking care of everything. I'm like, nope, don't worry about it.
I'll take care of it. It's very hard. Like with my boyfriend now, it's very hard for me because I'm a single mom too. I just have one though, luckily. But like, I'm saying, Cindy, you're amazing for being able to do that alone with two. But I got so used to doing things by myself that I think I gave off that, I don't need you kind of persona. But so having my current boyfriend do things for me was very strange. Like I had to relinquish a lot of that, I guess, like control. So that was hard for sure. But now that he does do some things for me, like I said earlier, like taking out the trash, I don't expect him to do it, but it's so nice that I don't have to anymore.
I miss that.
That's amazing. And I'm glad you've been able to receive Like that's can be a huge thing for a lot of independent women is learning to feel safe receiving.
Yeah. I think you
And
picked the right
once
kind
he
of
does
person.
offer and does say yes, yeah, letting go and that being able to actually receive.
Mm-hmm. I do.
I-
So just kind of, sorry, go ahead, Cindy.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna kind of turn the conversation to sex. So, how long do you wait before you actually have sex? And part 2 of my question is, have you ever been a fuckboy? I have to.
It depends on this. It depends on the season. Yeah, it depends on the season, right?
What do you mean?
I would say the first.
What do you mean by what depends on the season? Like summer, spring, fall?
Do you have a hot girl summer too?
No, like the season that I'm in.
Oh,
in my life.
Okay.
And like what I want and desire.
Got it.
Right.
Got it.
So moving back to the States, I was like, I want to date in America again, and I want to go all out and go on as many dates as I can and have a great time doing it. So I went all out and had a great time. And, you know, I don't know if you consider going on a lot of dates and having some really good intimate experiences with a few people at a time considered a fuckboy, but I think it's more so the communication that determines a fuckboy or not.
I would agree with that for sure.
I'm in no way telling any of these women I'm talking to or dating at the time that, hey, you're the one for me. I love you. I'm not talking to anybody else. Like you're the only person that I'm being intimate with. But I in no way did that. I've always been completely honest in where I've been and where I've been at, which allows them to make the best decision for them. And some girls are like, okay, I that's not what I want to be part of. And others like, okay, I appreciate your honesty. I still want to see you because the value that I'm receiving from you. And so during that time, I was going all out with the dating and learning what I liked and what I didn't, and both sexually and emotionally. But I was always completely honest in where I was at and never lying to anyone in that. And actually still have some great friendships with some of those girls now. They're just completely platonic.
Yeah.
So
you were definitely not.
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say no. I don't need to be like it's that's the thing is like a lot of guys don't realize it. If you honesty is such a something so high on a woman's scale of
yes,
if she wants to be around a guy or not. And unfortunately, a lot of these guys, they think they have to lie and manipulate to get what they want. But actually, if you're a badass enough dude, if you actually are a guy that provides a lot of value in a dynamic, more girls will be open to you not being exclusive than they think. It's crazy. Yep. But unfortunately, a lot of guys aren't willing to put in the effort to become men of value, to be in that position, to be able to actually have that experience, right? So you get all these guys that are just pieces of like lazy, little emotional, unsuccessful, not pursuing anything for themselves guys that want this luxury, but you're not providing any value. You don't deserve it, right? Like as a man, you have to create your own value. You're not inherently valuable as a man.
I know a lot of our audience is male. So for those men that are listening to this, how would you go about creating that value?
Well, I think first thing I would say is now whether people like this or not, I would go watch little Andrew Tate because I think he's got some good stuff for men. And his advice is, I think this is golden advice. I'm not going to claim this. He says, go get in the gym and work your ass off in the gym. Like become good there. You find and meet other epic dudes that can help you and push you and keep you accountable to what you want. And then pursue what you desire for yourself. Like that's one of the biggest things. You go work out, your body should reflect the inside. You meet dope guys that keep you accountable to push yourself to be better and to go pursue what you want with yourself in your life. You don't have to be rich. Like a lot of girls say they want a guy with money, and yeah, I'm sure they do to some extent, but really what a girl wants to feel is be in the presence of a man that's pursuing what he really wants. So she can feel that masculine essence that he holds. There's safety in that. There's safety in the dollar amount, sure, but there's actually safety in a guy pursuing what he really wants, the highest level too. So not to say you should be a bum and not make any money, but getting in the gym, getting guys that are good friends to help keep you accountable, and pursuing something that really like lights you up, I think are great starting points.
I think you're right though. Like what you said about, we talk a lot about, setting expectations, and it's so important. I can't stress that enough, like communication and setting that precedence and that expectation from the fucking beginning. Like that's the easiest way to avoid any kind of like crazy girl. And I say that in air quotes, because I don't want to call anybody crazy, but I think that's like the best way to just not have that bullshit follow you around,
I completely agree
absolutely,
with that.
100%.
Because it's just like, that people that are focused on themselves, on their body, on their goals and all that, they're not focused on drama. They're not focused on craziness and all that. And that's another way of avoiding all that things as well.
It really is. Mm-hmm. Can I ask how old you are?
28.
Okay. So when do you think you, I guess, realized that you wanted to, I guess, and maybe you haven't realized this yet, but how old do you think you were when you thought, okay, maybe I want to like settle down and find somebody and maybe think about having a family in the future?
Since I was 5.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, since I was 5, like I remember going to my mom. I've always been a really forward, future-thinking person, and I went to my mom and I told her I was starting my honeymoon fund at the age of 5.
Oh, that's precious.
Right. So I said it. I said at the beginning, having a long-term partner and being a dad are something that I've always highly prioritized. But I just needed to spend seasons of taking off some of the pressure of having to have that, where I was allowing myself just to freely date without expectation of needing to get into something too quick. And that was something I had to overcome. I'm from the Midwest. I'm from small town America where most people get married to their high school sweetheart and you sail off in the sunset. But that wasn't the life that I wanted. But my programming really desired that quickly. And so one of my biggest battles has been not compromising because of that unconscious part of me that wants a partner and wants children. And that was, for the last couple of years, it's something I really honestly battled with. What was that? By not trying to make my brain would want to make something be something different than it really was because it desired to have that. So separating myself from that desire that I have had that's so deep in me unconsciously has been a process I've gone through, but it's always been something that I've wanted and desired. I've actually had to pull back from it to really understand what I wanted more so I could see it when it showed up. Because like I said, this is a big fucking deal. And I really do want it to be something that is lasting.
That is really beautiful because a lot of men don't think like that anymore. And it's interesting. So I lived in Minot, North Dakota for 10 years. And I think there's a difference between men in the Midwestern and men in the South, men in Northeast, Northwest and all that, because that's the mentality that Midwestern men think. They see someone, they grow in a little town and all that, and they marry their high school sweetheart. And I've seen it a lot in Minot, North Dakota. I have friends that, they married, they were dating from high school and now they have a family. 12 years later, they have a family. And they're still together. So now my question in all this is, is it the way that we raise, the way that we're exposed to more things that has that certain mentality, or is it because we're surrounded in we're in Atlanta. I know you're in Los Angeles, but is it because the way they grow up is the way that they are thinking and they're more loyal to all those values and things in life as having a long-term relationship?
Definitely. Yeah. The upbringing is a huge part of what causes that to happen. And that's why I say with so many women that they're where are all the good men? I'm like, go to the Midwest. They're all over there.
So I'm going to start changing my location now. Okay, let me go.
Yeah. Exactly.
You know what, Cindy? We should do that with
really
you. Like, you should definitely I think we should do an experiment. Like, let's set your location.
Throw you into Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
Oklahoma City.
You
Kansas
set your
City.
location to the Midwest. See what happens.
Minneapolis. Put you there.
But I live there.
The results. No. I think that'd be a great experiment because I know that you live in
Minot.
Minot, North Dakota. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
funny.
funny.
Love you had the old the long O accent. I love it.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, but I mean, don't get me wrong. It's just like I lived in Minot, North Dakota. I said I will not go back, but it seems like, I don't know. Hey,
you don't have to go back. Just, change your location on Bumble.
All right, people. For next episode, you guys are gonna see what happened if I went on a date or no. Because this guy that I told you about, the guy in Michigan, we've been like sending videos back and forth, and he's like, "It's time for us to meet. I'm gonna buy your plane ticket so you can come and see me."
Well, that's very nice. What does he want? I always feel like if they're gonna buy my plane ticket, what are they gonna expect from me? I don't know. Maybe that's just my my hurt brain.
He wants a long-term relationship.
That's a fair statement.
He wants a long-term relationship. All right, so we're looking at Midwest. So we're gonna go to Kansas City,
South Dakota,
South Dakota,
Minneapolis.
Okay, Minneapolis. Minneapolis has a big airport, so I like their airport.
Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas is a great spot. There's a lot of Austin, Texas, I think would be a good spot.
Austin is great, yeah. It's a very eclectic group of people there.
Oklahoma.
Yeah. Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should I go back to Minot?
It wouldn't
Maybe Ohio? No, not Minot.
Ohio. All right. Let me see there. I'll be like, okay, Ohio. Cleveland, Ohio.
That's
Cleveland. Columbus, maybe?
Columbus. All right, let's go Columbus.
I love it.
I'm the dating social experiment.
If I did it, I would get in trouble. I'm not trying to get in trouble.
No, that's fine. I'm single. I don't have anybody to tell. I'd be like, so, but it's interesting. So I don't know if you saw this post that I posted last night, and a lot of men went off on me. It's a post by Cher. I'll share it with you. It is, it says, men are a luxury, not a necessity.
So I did see that you posted that. And like, I know you, so I know where that came from, but I feel like that is almost objectifying men in a bad way, almost like, we don't want anyone to objectify us. Right. So I don't know. It didn't come across to me the way that maybe it was intended. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that, Keyen?
Well, to me, luxury implies there's a level of detachment in that. It's like an accessory. It's like he's an accessory. Mm-hmm. But I actually believe something that creates a really powerful bond between two people is actually a little bit of dependency. And I don't see anything inherently wrong with there being some element of attachment. I know people hear attachment, they hear dependency, and they're like, no. But the new age wave of thinking of this completely detached, right? We don't need each other. We just kind of like want each other is like, it sounds like a way to not actually go deeper into committing at a much deeper level with each other. And, I think that's where longevity comes from in the dynamic of a relationship, is some level of attachment and some level of needing each other. And I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that. So when I hear the men are a luxury, I hear this element of detachment, which never allows you to actually fully submit to him in the way that I think is healthy for a long-term dynamic that creates a long-term desire from him to want to provide for you in the long run. which ultimately doesn't give anybody what they want.
So
Like if you want the long-term attachment from him, there actually has to be a level of submission to him and actually attachment in some extent to him for him to constantly want to feel like he wants to provide for you over a long run. Because if that doesn't exist, I think it'll fade.
So the reason I posted that was like, I saw it as, you know what, men are luxury, but, you know, finding a good relationship is a luxury. You cannot find that anywhere. And I was going to put men and women, but I'm like, you know what, I'm too lazy to do this. I'm just going to post this. And it was like, it actually, I mean, I was like surprised because a lot of men commented on that. And I was like, wow, because for me, it's just like finding a good man or a good woman is a luxury. I wasn't seeing it as a, hey, you know what? I'm just going to use you as an object. Look, if I really want to use a man as an object, I'd rather hire an escort. So.
Right. Well, it's like, it's not, I don't even think it's necessarily about that for the men. I think men inherently need to feel needed. So when you put something out there that goes against that very thing that men need to feel for them to feel like they want to provide, I think that's probably why they backlash. Because when a man doesn't feel needed by a woman that shows she's hyper independent, he's not going to have any desire to want to provide for. So even if you are a woman that is very independent, being able to step into even more like a kind of almost like a ditzy, hey, like, ooh, I dropped that. Can you pick it up for me? Like that type of energy is what creates a desire for him to want to provide. So unfortunately, many women have this idea in their head that they think because this is what's happening at an unconscious level, because they desire to be with a man that's incredibly confident, that has his shit together, they think they actually have to do the same. And it's actually ass backwards. It's ass backwards. It throws off the attraction dynamic completely for a man when he feels like he has nowhere to fit into her equation for her to need him.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard that from other men is the way that they want to feel needed. I think I can't remember who we had on the podcast a few weeks ago, but they said something, you know, he went to the grocery store and it was the smallest little compliment, but it just made his entire day brighter. I think he said something like, you know, you have beautiful eyes. Like, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like men are, I don't want to say simple and have it, I guess, be a negative term, but I feel like it's the little things, I guess, that count more than we actually realize.
It's a great way to put it. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
What's the sweetest thing that your almost 2-day-away girlfriend has done for you so far?
Not try to run in the face of try to manipulate the situation in the face of feeling all of the intense feelings that she's feeling. Okay. Like, to me, I see that as she's so secure in herself and what she's feeling that regardless of how strong the feelings are, she's not trying to play a manipulative game to try to protect herself. And I see that as so fucking courageous, and it actually wants to make me provide even more for her when I see the vulnerability of because we've talked about this, of the feelings that she's experiencing, the intensity of feelings she's experiencing as well, and to allow herself to still be uncalibrated, to still just do what she feels like she wants to do in regard to reaching out to me or talking to me. Now she's cautious of it for sure. She said that I don't want to be too much. I'm like, hey, I feel the same way. I don't want to be too much either. So we're both feeling that together, but it's her open heart that she's coming into it with. Really, like, I feel like it creates a safe space for me to open mine even more. And that's, to me, what I value the most in this dynamic. Because I don't know, I know how intense feelings can be. And I know it can be easy to want to manipulate and try to control someone in that dynamic to protect yourself. But she's not doing that. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That is very amazing. And you're right. I mean, it's just like, okay, so I posted a video on TikTok. I'm a little bit, I have a little bit of a following on TikTok, and it's just like, it's amazing that a lot of men have said, stop playing with the games. I can't remember what type of video that I posted or something like, Like, stop. People have to stop playing with games. Like, it's not a game. It's like, look, if I want you, I want you. I'll go after you. Do you really want me or not? Or be like, no, let's just break up. Or no, let's just not, you know what? No. So it's just like, for instance, the Bumble thing. So Bumble has, you've been on Bumble. So Bumble has the extend, right? A lot of matchmakers say, hey, you got to wait till they extend. If they extend, then that means they're really interested in you, right? If they don't extend, then don't talk to them. But then that is a game. Look, you know what? That is a game. Why are you playing that game? Why are we giving people that dynamic of saying like, hey, you know what? Let's just go ahead and just play. No, you want it? Just reply. Have a conversation. We're all adults. We know what we're doing.
I'm definitely a proponent of going after what I want when I want it. Not in a like, hey, look at me, like I'm going to be forceful about it. But if I want something or someone, I'm going to let them know in some way or form without being too brash.
And in today's day and age, I think that's courageous. I think that's courageous to be able to do that. And I like how you said not being too brash, right? Because there's one way of, it's hard to talk about that line. It's just something that.
There is a line.
But there is a line. There is.
Yeah, there is. Cindy.
Right? There definitely is. Where it can be off-putting if too much, but it's like that sweet balance between the two, which, you know, there's also an element of coming to the understanding that the majority of people that you come across aren't going to be a match.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that was something that was really important for me to go into dating with, was just this idea of majority of these people aren't going to be a match. So if I can just show up as me, then, you know, it'll weed people out quicker. So
yeah, that was hard for me. Like after my divorce is realizing that, you know, and my grandmother used to say this a lot, but people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And that's always stuck with me. So it was when I started dating after my divorce, it was very hard for me to realize, because I feel like I'm a hopeless romantic. And I want everyone, I want to see the good in everyone, but I had to realize that not everyone is going to be the one, you know, and there's going to be some people that I end up friends with, and which I am, which is great. And then, you know, others that are just kind of going to fall to the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that too.
That's dating.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's just learning how to date, honestly. Like, I have to put a lot of effort, and it's just like, I have to, like, I don't mind talking to people, but it's just going on the date, finding the time to go on the date. Like right now I have all these freaking trips. So like, okay. I'm like, oh, like this guy invited me. We've been talking for almost 2 weeks now, and we talk every day. And well, we text back and forth. And he's like, hey, you know what? Do you want to grab some dinner sometime? And I told him, look, you know what? I'll try to make it work this week, but when I come back, then we can have dinner. It'll be easier for me. But it's just like, all right, so do I FaceTime him? Do you FaceTime?
Sounds like you're being difficult.
Me? No. I'm not trying to be on purpose. No, because he said, like, I told him, look, Wednesday, we can do Wednesday. And he's like, well, I already have plans with my friend. I'm like, just go ahead and do that. And then we'll just take care of it. Then we'll just go ahead and just, when I come back. But
do you FaceTime before you go on dates normally? Or a phone call even?
It depends on the season. But I want to real quick comment on what Cindy said. If you want to date, I think you make it a priority. And I think it's important to understand the season that you're in, and that if you're really desiring long-term partnership, you shouldn't be prioritizing other things that don't allow you to maximize your ability to do that.
I see she's got her thinking face on.
I am. I do.
Like if something's important to you, right, you make it a priority, and you make other things not a priority, you know?
And I have. I mean, like, for instance, like I told him, look, Wednesday I can make it work. But if you're telling me, hey, you know what, you can't, then there's
Well, I'm not necessarily referring to that specific situation. I didn't know when I first made the comment that you brought up that Wednesday worked, but I'm saying in general because you said you're going on all these trips. And I'm like, well, what are you doing going on all these trips if you desire for long-term partnership? I don't know. That's just my thought.
Yeah, but I'm also making it work, It's like either I date. I mean, are you going to take me to Iceland? No, right? I am going to Iceland. Do you want to come? Come with me. But in other case, but I mean, it's not that, but I mean, it's just like, it's work. But at the same time, I am making an effort to date too. So at least I go once a week on a date, unless they stand me up. That doesn't count, but yeah.
Okay. So you said I'm making it work. That tells me time. It's like, hey, I'm making time. Okay. Well, like making it, well, your word choice is really interesting there. You said making it work. To me, it would imply that there's a lot maybe on your plate and you're doing a lot of things and you're able to squeeze it in because you know it's a priority, which actually doesn't allow you to show up in the way that you probably need to, because if you're squeezing it in, you're probably in a pretty hyperdrive masculine state. So a lot of it's more, if you want as a woman to find long-term partnership, it's creating space in your schedule where you have the capacity to show up in your feminine state. But if you're making it work and you're squeezing it in, that tells me you're showing up in this overly moving too fast, too quick, not really in your body type of place that maybe prevents you from really getting out of the experience what you desire. So it's more about creating space for you to feel safe in your body, getting away from the chaos and the hecticness of always moving to be able to show up in your greatest form.
Yeah, so what I did for the last one was, I got stood up on that one. I was like, okay, I'm not going to plan anything. Like if I plan a time, then I'm not going to put like I would say, hey, you know what, up to this time. No, I'll be like, okay, what happens? Let's hang out. Let's see what we can do and all that. So I don't put like a time limit or anything, which is nice too. Because I'm like, okay, there's nothing I don't have to worry about.
Keyen, I think that's probably the best advice that we've heard in the previous 7 episodes that we've recorded is what you just said. I think that that's pretty profound, especially if women were going to listen to this podcast and take anything from that. I think that would be, probably the best takeaway. So thank you for your input on that. And I know that we're kind of like right at time. So thank you, Keyen, for joining our podcast.
Can I say one more thing about that?
Of course.
Can I say one more thing about that?
Yes.
That'd be okay. Also, as a woman, showing up in your fullest form, being in your body and not feeling frantic, that actually allows you to then gain better discernment for if this guy is really actually someone that you desire to see again. Because if you're out of your body and in your head and in a frantic place, you're one, not going to be able to show up in the full capacity that you know you really need to. But two, your discernment for that guy actually gets hazy. And instead of checking in with your body and checking in with like how safe you feel in that dynamic, you make it about a head game instead, because that's where you're stuck. So one of the most powerful things that a woman can do in a space of really wanting to date is engage in things that allow her to be more in her body and slowing things down in her life as much as she possibly can. So it actually really benefits women much more as well, being able to do that and them being able to have better discernment in regard to mate selection.
I think that's super
I think
helpful.
You're right. And you're right about that, because it's just like, all right, like earlier, I was like super stressed. But then again, when I'm in my little world, like on, let's say for instance, hiking, the things that I do like to do, then I'm more like, okay, I'm more me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. More of that. More of that.
Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. Cindy, I think you have a lot to bring to the table. So, we're going to find you somebody. Don't worry.
All right. I'm going to try. I'm going to go ahead and do the changing travels.
Experiment.
Oh, God.
Well, Keyen, thank you so much.
Don't be too disappointed if you see fish pictures or pictures with cars, though. Because you might see more of that though too.
Okay, you're from the Midwestern. You're from the Midwestern. We want to ask you about the fish picture. What does it mean?
Oh, I have my own theory on this, so I'm curious to know what yours is.
it might not be actually deeper than what you guys might be thinking. It might just be that it's a picture he's proud of, and he's feels like it's a good picture that he feels good about, so he posts it. It's part of his life, so he feels good about it.
We have a theory
not really thinking about the woman at all.
Yeah, we have a theory that the bigger the fish, the smaller the dick. I don't know how true that is.
Well, you can say the same thing with truck size too, right?
This is, oh my God. Yes, we can. Absolutely.
I mean, now that you talk about the Midwestern
theory, that'd be an interesting theory. I don't know. It could be true, but
take a poll.
I mean, now that you talk about the Midwestern, I mean, have you seen, I mean, obviously you're from South Dakota, especially when it snows and all that. They have these giant like trucks, but they're like, wow, they're probably like 5'4", I'm 5'4", and then be like, wow, their tires are gigantic.
I mean,
yeah,
they have to be. They're compensating. I mean, no, I'm kidding. Don't.
There can be truth to it.
The snow, it's the snow.
I don't know. I think with the fish pictures, honestly, I think it's just like this. What got you said earlier? Guys are actually like pretty simple, and I agreed with you when you said that. In that he's probably just like, oh, that's a great picture of me. I feel good about that picture. Yeah, I'm gonna put that in.
He's proud of it.
He's just not thinking it. He's just proud of it, right? He's just like, yeah, that I felt good in that moment. I'm gonna post that. Oh, I really like my truck. Yeah, I feel good about my truck. I'm gonna put it on my profile. Right?
No.
That's completely disregarding women and how they work and function. But that's probably what's going on in his head. To be honest
Probably.
They'll look at the truck like oh, she's gonna like that. Oh yeah, they're gonna swipe right because they're gonna like the truck. Oh yeah, they know I can actually get big fish, so then I'll post that one. And you're right, it's like a trophy for them, and they want us to see that like, ooh, nice fish, nice catch.
Yeah. Oh gosh, if you said that to a guy, he'd be like, "Oh my gosh, thank you. Yeah, it's right. It's awesome, isn't it?"
So what lick did you do? Okay, what hook? Let's go more detail.
He would die if you had. Oh, he would die. Fall in love right there.
Instant boner. That's so funny. You know what? That should be your next pickup line is nice catch. You know, if you're on Bumble in the Midwest, nice catch. What kind of bait do you use?
You'll reel all of them in.
Oh gosh, that's what I'll do. I'll swipe right on the next guy with a fish.
Oh my God.
That's not.
That's what I'll do.
Keyen, thank you so much for jumping on our podcast and giving us so much good advice. We are super appreciative. So hopefully we can talk to you again in the future, especially after someone, Cindy, dates in the Midwest. But
yeah.
But anyways, thank you again. And dear Baddies, thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Cindy or myself or email us for any advice. So thank you guys so much. Have a great evening.
Thanks for having me.
Have a nice day.